Guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I have a video I've been planning to do for a very long time for you guys. So when I first started my KonMari process, the first category was clothing, and I went through and got rid of probably half of the clothing that I did own at the time. So since I had such a huge amount of clothing that I was getting rid of, I did donate a lot of it, but I thought it was a good opportunity for me to do a review or an updated review on a site called Thredup. So I have done a review on them before on my channel, but it was a very long time ago. I think it was probably a year and a half or so ago since I last did my review, and I wanted to kind of do an update on it. And I had not sold anything to them in a really long time, so I wanted to send them a lot of clothing so I could really get a good idea for if the site had changed at all, if they were any better with their selling processes and all of that. So that is what I'm going to be talking about today. It's taken me a long time for a few reasons. Number one, it took a long time, just the whole process of receiving the bags, filling them, mailing them, for Thredup to then receive them, and of course for Thredup to process them, which is a whole nother part. So that whole process took a very long time, and then once I finally did receive the payout information and everything, I kind of sat on it for a while. So it's been a couple weeks now I received the information from Thredup. Originally, I really wanted to do a video in the same kind of style that I did my GlamBot review, where I filmed for you guys everything that I was loading into the bags for Thredup so you could see the items and the condition, and then I was going to, let you know for this bag they gave me this much and that kind of situation. However, because of the amount of clothing that I sent them, I did film myself kind of loading the bags, but it was over an hour worth of footage, and I have been trying to kind of edit that down, and I'm not sure as of the time that I'm filming this intro whether or not I'm going to include that footage at the end of this video. I hopefully will be including that footage at the end of the video, but I haven't figured out how to kind of piece that together yet. But I'm not going to be able to go through like each item with you because there was so many items. So all in all, I sent them 6 bags, and if you have never seen the Thredup bags before, they are ginormous. They are really, really big. You can fit a lot of clothing and shoes and purses in these bags. You can fit a ton of stuff. I filled every single one of them to their capacity. None of them were like half full or anything. They were all shoved, just stuffed full with clothing and shoes and purses. And I tried to make sure that, number one, I did not send anything that was not on their approved list. So they have like specific clothing brands that they will accept, and even like very specific for, like, there might be a certain brand like Massimo, for example. They might accept the pants for Massimo but not the tops for Massimo. I just made that one up, but that's just like an example. So I made sure that I searched every single item before I placed it in the bag to make sure it was accepted on their accepted list. I also made sure that there was nothing with any holes, tears, stains, any wear and tear that was excessive, only minor wear and tear. And of course, I did not include anything that I didn't think was in good enough condition for them to accept. I also made sure that my bags, when I filled them, that I separated it to kind of try to make the bags equivalent value, so that I could say, all the bags were worth about $25, let's say, and then that way I could compare kind of apples to apples on what I was getting. So that is what I did. Now let me get you into the details real quick of how the process worked. So it took between 3 to 5 days for each of the bags to arrive to me, and for me to arrive to me so that I could fill them and return them. And I kind of spread out when I ordered them too, so it was like a span of a week that I was filling up these bags. Okay, so as far as the processing of the bags, as I mentioned, I did send them 6 bags. It took between 4 to 6 weeks for each of the bags to be processed. So if you're planning to sell to them, keep that in mind. It is a very, very long process. So you have to first wait for the bag to arrive. Then you have to wait for Thredup to receive the bag, which took 3 to 4 days from there. And then once they received it, it takes another 4 to 6 weeks for them to process the bag. Now, they were really good about sending me an email right away that they received it, which I liked. They told me they received the bag with the bag number and all that, and gave me an estimated date for when they thought they would be able to process it. And for the most part, those initial emails that I received from them with an estimated payout date were pretty accurate within 5 days or so. So some of them did get kind of pushed back a little bit more, but overall most of the bags were processed around the time that they told me they would be. And then they did send emails, because that is a really long time. They sent emails for each of the bags like after 3 weeks or so, 3 or 4 weeks, just checking in and letting me know that they were still expecting to, you know, process them by a certain date. So that's how that worked. After they finally do give you your payout information, you have 2 choices. Number 1, you can accept it in store credit, or it automatically becomes store credit right away, and you can spend it in the store, or you can wait a whole week after they finally finish processing this. You have to wait another week if you want to cash it out like actual cash, which I think is kind of ridiculous. I think you already wait so long for the bag to be processed that if you want your cash, they should give it to you right away. I don't understand the whole point of waiting a week. I would prefer, obviously I would prefer this. I think it's a smarter business policy for them to just give a little extra amount for people who choose to use an in-store credit, rather than holding the funds for a whole week, just making you wait to cash it out, because they know that if it's sitting there for a week, you're more likely to spend it before you get to the point where you can cash it out, which I understand why they're doing it. I just don't think it's right. I don't think it's fair. Obviously, waiting as long as you wait just for them to process the bag is already kind of on the ridiculous side, and then to add an additional week to wait for your funds to mature or whatever they're waiting for is kind of ridiculous in my opinion. So now let's get into the meat of this review here. I have to tell you, I have really mixed feelings. One of the reasons I waited so long to film this is because I almost scrapped the whole idea of doing this video. I was really kind of irritated with the amounts that I got on some of the bags, and then watching the footage back of what I loaded into the bags and seeing what they took and what they did not take, I was like, what? I was a little bit blown away by it, I have to be honest, because as I mentioned, I tried to make sure every single bag was really, really even. And then let me tell you the amounts that they gave me real quick so you can see why I was like, what is happening over at Thredup? So my first bag that they processed, they gave me $3.88 for. My second bag that they processed, they gave me $4.35 for. My third bag that they processed, they gave me 60 cents for. My fourth bag that they processed, they gave me $9.55 for. My fifth bag, they gave me $4.70 for. And my sixth and final bag, I received $17.25. I'm just gonna let that sink in for a minute. Okay, so a range of 60 cents for one bag up to $17.25. To me, that seems kind of absurd. And it just tells me one thing, and that is that they are very, very inconsistent with the way they process their bags. So my guess is that it depends on who you get that is looking through your bag and how picky they are as to what you're going to receive for your items. I guesstimated when I was loading these bags, on the low end, I was thinking I would get between $20 and $25 per bag from Thredup, and I was guesstimating on the low end. There were a few designer high-end items in there, but the majority of them were, you know, your Kohl's and Target and those types of brands. I had a lot of Express clothing. It's one of my favorite stores, so I had a lot of their clothing in it. So there was kind of a mixture of different brands and items. There were a couple purses. There was quite a number of shoes in there. I probably had about 7 or 8 pairs of shoes in there, which they took the majority of the shoes. I found that they took a lot more of the children's clothing that I loaded in the bag than the women's clothing, which was interesting because most of the women's clothing was brand new, never worn items. So overall, I felt like if you're gonna send stuff to them, you really have absolutely, I mean, it's totally like a gamble. I mean, you really don't know what they're going to give you because there's absolutely no consistency whatsoever with what they accept. If you shop their website, I'm sure all of you, if you're watching this video, have at least been on their website and kind of looked through. There is a lot of clothing on there that is pretty questionable clothing. I mean, as far as they say they have such high standards, but a lot of the clothes that I see on there is really out of date. You can tell it's really worn out, it's very faded, and things like that. So it's like when you see what they have on their site and then when you actually send them a bag and look at, you know, take inventory of what you send them and look at what they're actually buying from you, there's a little bit of a discrepancy there. And so I don't really understand what their policy is on how they determine what is accepted and what is not accepted, because there were items in my bags that they did not accept, and watching back the footage and remembering the items, and I did take down an inventory, wrote down everything because I was thinking I would probably like show you guys a picture and say this was accepted, this is how much they took, this was accepted, this is, but I kind of scrapped that whole idea because after I saw how little they took and how much I recorded for you guys, I'm like, this video is gonna be like crazy to edit and try to put together. So anyway, I just kind of wanted to verbalize and talk to you guys a little bit about my feelings with the whole process. Number one, obviously I think that they take an extremely long amount of time to sort through their bags, and if they were giving fair amounts, or if I felt like they were accepting items that were in great, items that were in really great condition, and that, you know, you could kind of determine what to put in the bag and what would be taken and stuff like that, I would say it might be worth waiting that extra time. However, when you send them stuff that's perfectly good, in excellent condition, never been worn, still in fashion, not high-end brands, but, brands that they say they accept and they don't accept the item, that's where I'm like, wait a minute, what's happening? So I kind of just wanted to share that with you guys and let you know, and I think I will include the footage at the end where I'm just kind of holding things up. It's a little bit hard to see the way I filmed it because I was in such a rush to fill up the bags, but I just kind of held up the clothing items in front of the camera and then shoved them in the bag, and so you guys will be able to kind of see some of the items that I sent them. But like I said, a lot of it was, Target, Kohl's brands, and quite a bit from Express. There were a lot of shoes, some children's clothing, mostly my stuff, but a few children's clothing as well. And yeah, I sent them like 2 winter coats too that were really cute new coats that they didn't fit me right, and they didn't accept either one of those, which I thought was really weird because it was fall, it was like October when I sent those bags, so I was like, are they thinking this is off season? I don't know why they didn't accept stuff like that. So I don't know, there was just a lot of things that really put a flag in my mind of this is not a trustworthy site. Also, I did want to mention there are a lot of there's a lot of reviews on the internet, and I know a lot of people are saying that they are kind of a scam and they rip you off, and I have to say I don't think they're a scam, but I do feel like they are maybe ripping people off a little bit, and I don't even know if it's intentional or not, but I think that they just need to do a better job of training their employees. As you can tell from the fact, the payouts that I told you guys, from the fact that all of my bags were loaded with similar items, and there was a range so large from 60 cents to $17. That's a big range. So obviously they need to do a better job at being consistent with what they're accepting. It's kind of the luck of the draw. Like who opens my bag, who's gonna look through my stuff, and do they have the same taste as me? So anyways, I did want to quickly film this and let you guys know that's kind of what my experience was with Thredup, and I'll go ahead and attach the rest of the footage for you guys at the end of this. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below. I did want to mention real quick, this was just kind of a review on their selling process, but as for buying from them, I have purchased from them quite a few times. I feel like their deals are not like extremely great deals. They're okay deals. For used clothing, I feel like you can get a better deal if you go to Plato's Closet or go to your local thrift store. You could probably find a better deal than on Thredup, but I don't know. I just wanted to share this with you guys. I hope this was useful for you guys because I did kind of just ramble. Like I mentioned, I wasn't sure if I was even going to film this, but I did want to share with you guys kind of my thoughts and how the whole process went. So yeah, leave your comments and questions below, and I will see you guys in my next video. Thanks for watching. Bye guys.